All right, Div1 round 698. Here we go. Solutions at the end, as usual, and it's Div1 round, so commentary is going to be light. So you can get one number any difference you can have, like any difference between any pair of numbers is possible. So I guess we only care about adjacent differences. We can add that. We can add an adjacent difference. Yeah, you add x minus y. So if all of the numbers have a GCD, okay. 2, we want to reach 1, so you start with 1, so you can. 3, you want to reach 0. The difference here is 4. The difference here is 1. So you can subtract 1. We want to reach or have some number okay, the differences, if you have a difference of 3, you can continue that difference of 3 indefinitely. If you have a difference of 3 and 2, yeah, so the GCD of the differences is what matters. So take the GCD of differences, only adjacent differences, yeah, and then check if the difference between any number and k is divisible by that. So here the GCD is 1, so it's possible. Okay, here I don't know, there's one difference, I guess, so it's not possible. 2, we want to reach this, 1 and then this, so you can reach that. I think that's right. Let's try it. Okay, so now GCD equals 0. So we have the GCD. We can get to any of the numbers with that. Yes, I guess we want to see if any number to k. I'm not totally sure this is right, but I'll give it a shot. And then I'm gonna go. All right. Problem B. We got it. Okay, so that's good. Nizar has a binary string S of length n that he wants to share with his best friend. He will spend Q days inspecting the binary string. At the same time, he wants to change the string S into F during those Q days because he thinks it will look better. Strictly less than half constraint is interesting because that means that whatever the majority is stays the same. Voice crack. Whatever the majority is stays the same. I guess let's do this first example. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. First query is 1 to 5. So we have 1 to 5. Then we have 1 to 3. then we have 2 to 1. Oh, just 2 queries. Yeah, okay, so you change these 2 in the first turn, this in the second turn. I don't really know. Sounds tricky. Then in a beat map, which is an array consisting of n distinct points on the plane, a beat map is nice if it has 3 consecutive points, where the angle between them is strictly less than 90 degrees. Okay. Sounds easy enough. Oh, so I guess it's always angle clockwise. Find a permutation of integers, so that's nice. If it's impossible, you should determine it. Repeatedly take the rightmost one. Is that possible? Are there ever 3 collinear points? There can be 3 collinear. Oh, strictly less than 90. One, two. So A1, A2, A5, A3, A4. Well, it's tricky. Okay, let's try B again. I don't know how to do C immediately. Maybe it's not too difficult. So the idea here is that Well, would it be easier to go from the end forward? 2, 1. Okay, so before this query, we can change both of the, or we can change less than half of these. So the majority needs to stay zeros. Yeah, maybe this query. Okay, so we have initially initially 10 ones. First query is from position 1 to 10. Next query is from position 5 to 9. And 7 to 10. And 1 to 7. Three to 5. 6 to 10. That's it. Okay, so, well, initially they all are the same value. So there's that. At the end, you need 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0. 1, 1, 1, 0. Okay. So the majority of this is going to be 1, so we need to change this to 1. Okay. Then the majority of this is going to be 0, so we need to change this to a 0. The majority of this, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, so 4 zeros, 3 ones. Yeah, okay, if you go backwards, it's much easier. Yeah, so it's range query. And then range set to 1, or range set. Yeah, that's it. Easy problem, okay. Okay, what else do we need? Int sum, int prop, or yeah, int set2 is -1. Yeah, okay. Int sum. So assume that prop is 0, then sum, or if leftmost is rightmost, then return, otherwise sum equals child dot sum plus our child dot sum. So if set2 is equal to -1, then continue, then return. Otherwise, lchild dot set2, our child dot set2 is set2, and recalc ourself. Void set2 until our child, then return sum for set2, and set2 goes -1. Okay, so what is this? Set some range. So if L is less than or equal to leftmost and R is greater than or equal to rightmost, then set set2 equals set2. Okay, what if that's not the case? So if R is less than leftmost or L is greater than rightmost, then just return. Otherwise, lchild dot set2 and our child dot set2. Good, and then what else? We need sum L R. Yeah. So if, okay, so what do we do? Prop, recalc, or we don't need to recalc. This needs to recalc for ourselves. Okay. We need to propagate here. Similar cases, if L doesn't equal the leftmost and R greater than or equal to rightmost, then return sum. If R is less than leftmost or L is greater than rightmost, return 0. What else? We have lchild dot set2, or lchild, okay. Good, I think we are fine there. Okay, it's multi-test case, it is. Int n is this. It is end queries. So seg tree stl, also need a query. Okay, so now we have all of our queries. So now seg tree sp new seg tree from 0 to n minus 1. Okay, so now for query queue and queries. Well, first for I equals 0 less than n plus plus st dot set to. So L is I, R is I, is end at I minus 0. Okay. Sum equals st, no. I equals n queries minus 1, query equals 0, minus minus. Size equals, well, query q equals queries at I. Size q dot 2 minus q dot from plus 1. Okay. Sum equals st dot sum from q dot 2 or from the q dot 2 if sum times 2 is equal to size. Then sys out no continue outer. Okay, otherwise we need to set it to something. So if sum times 2 is less than size, then st.range or st.set to q dot from q dot 2 set to 0. Otherwise set it to 1. Okay, and then sys out yes if it'll work, but first if st.sum from I to I is not equal to start at I minus the 0 character, then sys out no and continue outer. I think we're fine there. Darn it. We got a sum of 4. Why is that? So sum sum L to R, L to R. Still seems not right though. Got a sum of 1. This isn't right. Or maybe it is right. I guess they would both be null. Why can't I write a segment tree? Okay. Sum, if set 2 is -1, return sum. Set 2 is 0. Turn rightmost minus leftmost plus 1. So 0, 0, 0, 1, 1. Okay. Range sum from 1 to 3. Sum from 1 to 3. Oh, it should be 0 to 3. Yeah, okay. Good. How many test cases? Lots of them. Darn it. Oops. Oh, I'm so slow. I am so slow. Ah, it was just a segment tree problem, man. Okay. Did we get it right at least? Well, we'll see. Okay, so how do you do this problem? We have a bunch of distinct points. We want to reorder them in such a way that every angle is less than 90. If you ever have an angle greater than 90, you can fix it, right? Unless it's equal to 90. Ooh, what if it's equal to 90? Yeah, you can always fix it. So if you ever have like A, B, C, and this doesn't work, then ACB will work. Of course, they give no samples where it's impossible. Yeah. Let's try it. points at I equals new vec L. Okay. So, yeah, 4 and I and 0. I plus 1 is less than points length plus this and the next 2. So it's really I plus 2. That's this. Alright, we got it. So for each of these things, we need to say if so if points at I plus 1 dot sub points at I dot with points at I plus 2 dot sub points I plus 1. If this is greater than or equal to 0, then we need to swap them. It is a bit confusing why bounds are so small. It could be a red herring. 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 5. Okay, let's try this. Let's just make it, well, 5 or something. I don't know, 6, and then da-da-da. Okay, good. So now we'll have a bunch of unique points. Okay. So I think this should be right then. Wait, let me really make sure I'm understanding the problem. Three consecutive points, yeah. So it's just easy. I feel like of those three problems, C was the easiest, B was the next easiest, and A was the next easiest. But we'll see, I guess. Really? Wrong answer, not TLE or RTE. It's got wrong answer. What the heck? Okay. Points at I plus 1 minus points at I. That's the first vector. This one. Points at I plus 2 minus points at I plus 1. That's the second vector. If this dot product is greater than or equal to 0, what is my dot product? X times x plus y times y. Greater than 90 degrees. Greater than or equal to 90 degrees. What the heck? What the heck? This should crash. Oh no, because you have to. Oh, I see. Because we go 1, 2, 3, and then you mess up the last one. Okay, good. Well, this is why we have a tester. Okay. Okay, if it contains point I, blah, blah, blah. Gotcha. Okay, so now we can just do this. So yeah, so this should crash. Silly mistake. That's very unhelpful. Still an easy problem, just not helpful. Okay, yeah, anyway. Neza has designed a new game, Hidden Permutations, with his best friend, Nanako. At the beginning of the game, Nanako and Neza both know integers n and m. The game works in the following way. Firstly, Nezar hides two permutations of integers from 1 to n. Nanako secretly selects m pairs up to m. Gotcha. After that, Nanako sends his chosen pairs to Nezar. Okay, we got it. After receiving those m unordered pairs, Nezar, well, I guess how are we doing? So, not terribly. Oh, tourist! Oh no, boy. Maybe he's going after like F or something, who knows? Probably reading all of them. Unfortunate. Yeah, I guess I don't have a proof for C really, but we'll see. Oh, poor Monaghan as well. Rough day. Rough set. Okay. Checks if there exists an integer I such that these have different signs. If so, Nezar instantly loses the game and gets a score of -1. Whoa, this is confusing. Okay. So you lose the game and get a score of -1. Otherwise, you get this. Otherwise, the score you get is equal to the number of indices where pi is not equal to qi. Oh, so I guess you could always make them have the same sign. Okay, let me get a new piece of paper. So the problem says we have a bunch of pairs and two permutations, and then each pair needs to have like the same relative difference. Like, or the same relative difference needs to be the same sign. Yes. My camera is wacky. It's because yesterday I had issues with my other camera, so we're gonna have to use this one for today. Yeah. Okay. Find two permutations such that the score is maximized. I really hope Tour solves another problem. I mean, he will, but does he have any wrong submits? Oh man, on problem C. Yeah, C was tricky. Okay, let's stop checking the scoreboard because that is not a useful way to spend our time. What matters is whether we solve D, probably. Not what everyone else solves. Okay, so yeah, what's up? What's up here? There are a bunch of pairs where it's like, okay, this pair and this pair have to be in relative order. All we care is the number of things that are different. We have to extract it too. We might as well make the first permutation just 1 to n. Is there any reason not to? Maybe there is. Guess let's do this example. N equals 4, m equals 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. So he had a score of 4. Well, if you have all edges, are these all distinct? Yeah. So if all edges, then they've got to be the same permutation, because every pair is the same. Same permutation. Otherwise, we're missing at least one edge. So what if we have like a graph? I guess yeah, it's maybe helpful to think about these as edges in a graph. We have something like this. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have the two edges, this 1, 2, and 3, 4. We can choose a cycle 1, 3, 2, 4, 1. So we shift everything by 1. Is that the idea? Yeah, okay. good sample would be terrific. I guess this one's not terrible. It's still not great though. If one number has edges to every other number, it's going to have to be the same. Right? Because you know they're permutations, you know the same thing has to be bigger and smaller. Like the same, you know the number of things that have to be bigger, the number that have to be smaller. You also know they're the same sets. So that's easy. Okay, so that's one case that breaks a lot of possible agrees. So if one thing has edges to everyone, it stays the same. Otherwise, if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 have to be in this order, 3 and 4 have to be in this order. You can swap 1, 2, or you can swap 1 and 3 and 2 and 4. What if you have like 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5? So you want to make the first thing be, well, you can split the graph like this. Yeah, so if you can ever split the graph in half, you might as well do that and then swap their order. Yeah, okay. So if it's unconnected, the graph is disconnected, then we can change it, then change the order of the two pieces. Okay, so the last case is what happens in the example of a connected graph. 1, 2, 3. 1 is an edge to 2, 2 is an edge to 3. So in this example, it has to stay like that. But if we have 1, 3, 2, edges like that, you could do 2, 3, 1 as well. So two things that don't have an edge between them, we can swap, we can match. What if there are three things, none of which have edges between them? Do we have to find like an anti-click? Yeah, because we can also, like, if you have like a one node in the middle with three next to each other, you can take the outer three and rotate them all by one. But the middle node's kind of stuck where it is. The middle node also does have an edge to everyone else in his component. We need to connect every node to at least one other node. Yeah, perfect anti-matching would be fantastic. On a general graph. Oh, that's kind of annoying, isn't it? Yeah, probably. Might be an easier problem because this is very constrained. What if you look at the node with the biggest degree? So the node with the biggest degree, if we consider it and someone it doesn't have an edge to, we can remove both. What if we wind up with someone what if we needed to match this with like one particular person? So this is our perfect matching. You can't match with him, you can't match with him, you each can't match with each other. I guess I need a more complicated example. So then the opposite of this graph. So nothing can match with things on its own side. And then these can't match. These can't match. That's it. Okay. So this one has the biggest degree. It only has one person it can match with. It's a difficult problem. One sec. Apparently my company is not registered with Amazon Alexa, which is unfortunate, but I don't really care. Because I've got Zero, who is way better than Amazon Alexa anyway. Okay. So the entire thing is connected, but we need to pick some, yeah, like here's some connected graph. Okay, how do we do this? I don't think greedy works is the thing. Like, we need to find We can either pick 2 or 3 nodes at a time. And then we want to remove all of them. But just picking a cycle doesn't work. Or does picking a cycle work? Yeah, picking a cycle does not work. So if you imagine a star of size 5, if you pick this cycle, picking a cycle, yeah, it isn't allowed. Because you can't pick any cycle of size 3. If the graph isn't connected, it's easy. If one node has an edge to everything else, we can delete that node. Otherwise, no node has an edge to everything. So that means every node has someone they could pair with. That might be the same person for everyone, though. No, it won't be the same person for everyone. We could have something like this. So in this case, yeah, there are a couple ways of doing this optimally. What if we have this case? So if we match yeah, that's tricky. Okay, how do you avoid that? Oh, is that even the case? Or is that possible? So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you match, we're considering matching these two, and these two. So 1, 2, 2, 1. 3, 4, 4, 3, and 5, 6 to 6, 5. Oh, this is 2, 1, 2, 3. No, never mind. That's fine. That's right. Yeah, that's always going to be fine. If E squared E is not going to do it for us. That is not good enough. Okay, what if we, ooh, that's interesting. If a node only has one other node it can match to, we might as well match it. Is that true? Yes, that is true. Cool. Yeah, if a node has one other node it can match to, if we match it, we use that node. If we don't match it, the only reason we would not match it is if that other node can match it to like 2 different nodes, for instance. But we might as well only match it with ourselves. Those 2 nodes might be able to match with each other, maybe they can. But if we could match with 2 other nodes, then they would have to be able to match with each other. Yes. Cool. So if you can only match with one other node, match with him. Otherwise, everyone can match with 2. So we can find a path. Ah, yes, we find a path. Yes. I think that's it. Okay, so what are the properties that we have? So if it's disconnected, we might not even need to special case that, depending on how easy this is. Disconnected, then it's easy. If one node can reach everything, then we can throw away that node because it's not helpful to us. It's disconnected, one node can reach everything. Okay. If a node has degree 1, then match that pair. Okay. Otherwise, if all nodes have degree greater than 1, all nodes have degree greater than 1 in a graph. I can subtract 1 from 2 nodes. And then, yeah, unless like that connected, okay. Otherwise we pick any edge. So this works unless we could have initially picked a triangle. Let's validate that. Okay. Does this work in the one good case we have? So if we have this, okay, so what that means is really the graph looks like this. Each of these links to this, these two, and these two. So we pick this edge, for instance. Okay, now this has degree 1. So we pick this edge, and nope, we don't pick that edge. What am I saying? So now this has degree 1, so we pick this edge. And this has degree 1, so we pick this edge. Yep, okay. Good. Yeah. Alright, that works. That's legit. So then, what else? Works unless we can start with a triangle. Originally. So what if there is a triangle? Do we need to take that triangle? It's possible taking the triangle is a big issue. What if we have a problem like this? Taking the triangle decreases our answer from 6 to 3. we'll be left with one edge, or left with one node, possibly. Okay, that's a break case. Wait, what have I done? Oh, if this makes a node have degree 0. Then we should pick that node. Wait a minute. They don't have to swap. We don't have to do a cycle. We can pick one node and everything that has an edge to it by just shifting that node around. Because everything else still stays in order. Yeah, okay, this is actually easier than I thought. Okay, so pick some node and everything that has an edge to it. Take all of them. So there needs to be greater than or equal to one thing like that. So if it's connected, we have some spanning tree. So we get a spanning tree. Then we start at the root. And we need to split the tree into groups of size, well, no. We need to like get the tree and split it up. So we pick this node, or do we two color the tree? Yeah, what if we just two color it? Then I should. Okay, so we're solving this problem. How much time do we have? 36 minutes. Yeah, it's getting solved. It's a bit long, but we're gonna get it. Not to worry. The one you want. I want your place. Sure do. Okay. Yeah, okay, so we have a minimum spanning tree because it's connected. Okay, if you have a leaf, connect each leaf to their parent. And remove both of them. Okay, now we have a matching. For these three, we have this go from last to first. Yeah. Okay, got it. Okay, so we have an MST. How do we get this MST? Just for each node, try all of the things. Yes. What if it is disconnected? What do we do if it is disconnected? It's really a maximum spanning forest. We just do it on each separate group. Oh, this is a weird case. Yeah, okay. If root has degree 1, match with child. Okay, this is very annoying. Oh my goodness, okay. So, multi-test case, and this, and this. Okay, static list node. So these are array list node non-edges, array list. How do you get this maximum spanning forest for each node? So how are we going to do this? So we need to store prims probably makes the most sense. Okay. Alright, so otherwise found root is true, excluded dot remove root for I excluded. If not edges dot contains to L, we want to go from the root blah 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 blah. Okay, so for int I in root, so if not edges.contains too long from next to I, then we want to try and add this edge. So then we can reach on the int graph. So then remove I, founded I equals true. Do we even need this? Add nodes and roots. Okay, add this to the BFS. And then we also want to add this kid, I think. So gotcha. So we've got this forest. Okay. Public int, what am I doing here? We don't need to actually return the max answer. Public void go. So we need to make a bunch of groups, right? Yeah. So this needs to return array list of nodes groups. All right, I have to go to the bathroom, but I will be right back. And we're definitely solving this problem. Yes, I'm pretty sure we have the maximum spanning forest figured out. So for this, We also need Boolean roots. Okay. So now, how does this work? So here we go. Okay. Do we care if we were matched? Then so how does this work? Yeah, okay, so if I'm not the root, my parents take care of me. If I am the root and have greater than or equal to 1 unmatched kid, then take care of him. Otherwise, add myself to my kids group. No unmatched kids. Yeah. Kids group. Okay. All right. Array list node unmatched kids new array list. So for node n in adjacency, n.go groups false, not the root, n dot my group equals null, then unmatched kids dot add n. Why are bounds so big? I don't like bounds being so big. It scares me. Because we're doing this recursively. Okay, so now otherwise my group put me at the end. Yeah, okay. My group dot add my group, well, those unmatched kids, and my group dot add this. Unmatched kids is empty with root, otherwise parent take care of me. If I'm the root, then JSON C dot get 0 dot unmatch or dot my group dot insert at position 0 this. So we insert myself to the beginning. This will be linear, it only runs once. This we don't have to worry about. Okay. I think this is fine. So good. Okay, so now array list node groups, array list stuff. Okay. Now for node roots, root.dfs, root.go, groups is true. Okay, then iterate from 1 new int n, from 2 int n. Okay. So the thing at the end goes to the beginning. I think we're good, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's all. Nope. Fake news. Okay. So So then ID plus equals size. One, group 2. Yeah, that's fine. No groups? What? Do we have any roots even? Oh, yeah, so then we need to say groups.add my group. Two and 3, 4 and 1. Oh no. Oh no. Uh-oh. Hope this isn't a massive issue. This isn't how I saw this going. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2. So we pick 2 and 3 as a group. We pick 4 and 1 as a group. So we have 2, 3, 3, 2. That's actually right, I think. Okay. So we've got 1, 2, 1, 3, 3, 5, 3, 6. This is a connected, it's not connected. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Yeah, I think that's fine. 2, 3, 4. So let's check 1, 2, same order, or wait, 1, 2. Oh, wait. Oh, no, oh, no, oh, no. I don't think I get it wrong. I think if I fail samples, this is fine. So that should fail test 1 if it's wrong. Okay, so what is the problem? Here, what I'm doing, I've got 7 minutes, so it's not the end of the world. I can chill for a minute here. I get 2, 3, 4. These are positions 2, 3, and 4 in the array. 2 ret I equals A. 2 ret A I equals I plus 1. Six, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 2, 3, 1, 5, 6. 1 and 2, same order. 1 and 3, same order. 3 and 5, same order. 3 and 6, same order. So this should pass samples, at least. Whether it's right, we'll see. It's too close. Too close for comfort. I also am not 100% sure it's right even. Oh man, come on. Is it? I add both of these. Excluded doesn't contain the root. Continue. I think that part's probably fine. Darn it, dude. Darn it. I'm so close. Ah. Why is it wrong? It's never impossible, right? It's always possible. Yes, one test case, 3 nodes, 3 edges, 1, 2, 2, 3, 1, 3. Okay, one test case, 3 nodes, 3 edges, or one test case, 3 nodes, 2 edges, 1, 2, 2, 3. That's right. Is my idea wrong? These are in the same order, and these are in the same order. Is anything not getting reset? Oh no, oh no. No! Ah! This is why I hate multi-test case problems. That is so annoying. Ah! Ugh, 0 IQ play right there. Oh. Okay, well, let's clean it up. So this is what I submitted. Okay. So this'll AC when I do a little bit. So I need print writer. And my system dead out here. It's just out. Okay, close, and then I need, well, this is probably fine. I probably don't need stack trick, but I'll add it just in case. Oh my goodness, and I'm like a minute late. Okay, so I just want to submit this so badly. Come on. Please, please let me submit. Please let me submit. I just want to submit. Oh no. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. That is super unfortunate. You win some, you lose some. If you're going to solve problems with a minute left, sometimes you're going to not solve problems a minute after contest. That's just how it's going to be. Okay, well, we'll submit D after we go over problems. How about that? Let's go read the problems from the Div2 set that we didn't get to see. Probably A and B. I guess we'll just read all of them. How about that? All right. So, problem A. These aren't colorful balls. So you have n balls with integers 1, 2 to n, and the numbers A1 to AN are written on them respectively. These balls form an increasing sequence where they can be ties. You want the color of the balls. You want to color the balls using the minimum number of colors. Just the following holds. For any color, the number on the balls will form a strictly increasing sequence. Oh, these form a non-decreasing sequence. For any color, gotcha. The numbers on the balls will form a strictly increasing sequence. So it's just the maximum number of continuous things. Yeah, okay. So, yeah. So like, you pick a longest increasing subsequence here, and then you just keep doing that again repeatedly. So the solution to this problem is just, you want to find the longest run of a continuous number. So here you have 3 copies of a 1, so the answer is 3. Here you have 2 copies of a 2, the answer is 2. Here you have 4 copies of a 2, so the answer is 2. Here you have 1 copy of everything, the answer is 1. Here you have 1 copy of everything, the answer is 1. So yeah, that's the idea. You just color the first one color A, the next one color B, the next one color 2, or color C, and that's the solution to Div2A. Div2B, lucky number, which had more solves than A. Wacky. Maybe there was a bug. Or maybe my solution to A is wrong. I'd be kind of surprised though. Your favorite digit among 1 through 9 is D. He calls a positive integer D lucky if it occurs at least once in decimal representation. Okay. Given Q integers, for each one, you want to know if AI can be equal to the sum of several lucky numbers. So you want to know if there is some number which can be represented as the sum of several numbers which each contain D at least once. How big can these numbers be? Up to 10 to the 9. This is easier than problem A? No, it's not. Okay, it was just a bug with... Good, because this seems very difficult compared to problem A. It was like an issue with problems getting marked from correct in contest, or like passing system tests in contest, to being in the queue, I think. Okay, so when can some number be written as the sum of several integers which have Q in them? Interesting. For any number bigger than 1,000, the answer is probably just yes. Like, as the numbers get big, the chance it's right increases to quite a bit. Honestly, I don't actually know how I would approach this. If it were me, I would brute force all of the numbers. Like, I would try a bunch of numbers that are small. And then if it's like, if the query number's over like 10 to the 5th, I would just say you can do it. Because you probably can. Yeah, B's tricky. I'm sure there are a bunch of people in the comments who solve this instantly, but I'm not seeing it. One or more lucky numbers. So if it contains D, then you're good. Oh, otherwise you just subtract D continuously until one of the other digits is D. Yeah, because otherwise you're going to be subtracting a multiple of D. Okay, so that makes sense. You're subtracting d or a multiple of d. If you subtract something with d in its decimal representation, it's not necessarily a multiple of d, actually. It can be other things. Yeah, I think if it's bigger than 100, the answer is always yes. Yeah, so I would brute force small numbers. That's what I would do. I would just brute force small numbers, and then if it's bigger than like 1,000, just print yes. But that's kind of sketchy. Anyway, okay. Problem C. There's probably a constructive way to do anything bigger than 1,000. Like you can like make the first digit d for one of the numbers, make the second digit d for the other, and then you're like free other than that, because you've got like lots of freedom for big numbers. I'm not sure. Honestly, for B, I'm not sure. Okay. Oh, this is a new problem too. I don't think I've seen this. There is a symmetric array of 2n distinct integers. Array from 1 to 2n is called symmetric if for each integer I, there exists an integer j such that ai equals negative aj. It's symmetric if, like, for every integer, it has some opposite in the array. For each integer I, you wrote an integer d equal the sum of the absolute absolute differences of ai to all of the integers in A. Sum of the absolute differences from ai to all of the differences. So for this element, you sum the differences to every other element. Okay. Millions of years have passed, and you can barely remember the array D, and totally forgot A. He wonders if there's any symmetric array A of 2n integers that generates D. So this is the array D, and there is What was the clarification for C? Oh, I see. Oh, distinct integers. Got it. That's very helpful. Is it just if every number appears an even number of times? Is that it? No. Oh, every number has to be even. And also appear an even number of times. Maybe they broke this here. 48, 48, 80, 80, 56, 56, 40, 40. The answer is no. Two numbers that are the same both need to match. Because, yeah, so like you need an even number of occurrences of each element of each thing that happens. You need each of those to appear, you need each of the numbers to be even. Is each one divisible by 4, maybe? What is 56? That's 7 times 8, right? Maybe I should stick to reviewing the problems I solved, huh? This is non-trivial. Yeah, there's some hard Div2 problems compared to the Div1 set. Yikes. Okay. It's a cool problem. I like it. Oh, this was the hardest problem? Okay, so I guess maybe they weren't that difficult if this is only what it worked up to. Are system tests done yet? Come on, let me submit E or D, please. Please. %63%. Okay. So we'll figure out this. This is just going to be a crazy long video then. Integer I equal the sum of absolute differences from each element to every other element. Okay, so the biggest two numbers for those numbers, or for the two elements closest to 0, for the ones closest to 0, every other pair, this plus this. Yeah. The ones closest to 0, every other pair has the same sum, which is 2 times their distance. So you can get the sum of absolute values for all things bigger than the smallest pair. I don't actually know. Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, this would take some thinking, so I'll move on. And this is a new problem too. No, this isn't. Okay. All right. Let's do solutions real quick, and then maybe submit D if we have time. So this problem and board. You have n integers written on a board. On a given turn, you can write down this integer for any 2 x and y that are already written. So the idea is, let's say that you right? Like, okay, let's say your numbers are like 3, 5, and 7. So on a given turn, you can pick two integers. Maybe we pick this as, x and this is y. What we write down is 2x minus y. In other words, let's say this is x plus x minus y. So x minus y is -2, so we write down the number 3. So what we can do here is you can take any of these numbers, and the difference between some other number, you can add that to it. So we can go from 5, this can be like 3, 5, 7, and then we can add a 3. Or we can take the difference between these two, add this to the 3. So we can get 3, 5, and then plus -2. So we can get 3 plus -2, because that's the difference here. And that will give us 1. So what we can do is from any of these numbers, we can reach any other number. And we can also reach, we can add the difference between this and any other number in the set. So I guess that's one important thing we can do. The other thing is we can add that difference multiple times. So we can go from, if we have 3 and 5, we can go from 3 and 5 to a 1. And this was a difference of 2, right? We can add this difference again. So we can go from 3 and 5, or 3 and 1 now, to -1. We can keep adding this, so now we can go from -1 to 1 to -3, etc. So we can keep doing this as much as we want. And basically this difference you can add to any number of times, and then because of the way this works out, you can actually add any difference to any number of times, assuming my solution is correct. Which I think it passed. Pretty sure it passed. Let's double check to make sure I'm not lying. Keep myself honest. Yep, all right, good. I think. Yeah, okay. So I passed system tests. I think we're fine there. Good, yeah, so that's the idea. So the other thing is, if we have the GCD of all adjacent differences, that'll also be equal to the GCD of all the differences in the array, because the difference between these two is just the sum of this difference and this difference. So it'll be divisible by both of them. So yeah, so that's what we need to check. We get the GCD of all adjacent differences, and then we check if any number plus some multiple of that will equal the number we're trying to get, the target we're trying to get. Hopefully that made sense. In this case, the GCD is 2, so we can reach any odd number. If we had an even number here, let's say we had like a 10, then the GCD would be the GCD of 2 and 3, which is 1. So we can reach 7 plus any multiple of 1, or 3 plus any multiple of 1, 5 plus any multiple of 1. So we can reach really just all the numbers in that case. Okay. Cool. That is Div1A. Div2 or Div1B. You have this binary string. Yep. Okay. So let's say we start with let's do the first sample. You've got a binary string. You have a bunch of queries. Each queries look at some continuous range. After you look at the range, you can change at most half of the numbers, or strictly less than half of the numbers, if you want, to some other number. And then you want to see if you can start with this number and end with this number, if that's possible to do after all of these queries. So let's do the first example. Let's look at that. You start with 5 zeros, then you consider this range here first. Next, you consider the range from 1 to 3. And then after that, you want to wind up with 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. So what you do here is after this first 5, you can change at most 2, which is less than half of 5. So you change these 2 to 1. Next, you look at this range. You can change at most half of these. So you change this one to 1. And then finally, you end up with this array at the end. Now, the idea here for the solution is it's much easier to look at this backwards than forwards, because it turns out when you look at it backwards, you don't have to make any decisions. When you look at it forwards, you have to make these annoying decisions of which elements do we want to change, if any. So when you look at it backwards, you have to end with this array. Now, all of these numbers need to be the same. Oh, I didn't mention that. When you do a query, all of the numbers have to be the same. If they're not, you throw the array away. So before this query, all of these numbers have to be the same, which means this 1 has to be a 0. So we got to change one number, or we got to change less than half of the numbers here, which means when we go back, we need to make them all the same. We know what they have to be if we're changing less than half of them. They have to be whatever the majority is. If there's a tie, it's impossible. So they have to be whatever the majority is. And we've got some majority here of 0, which means all three of these things have to be 0 after this turn. We can't change any of the numbers outside this range, because that's stated in the problem. And we didn't have to make any decisions in order to determine these three end up being 0. After this turn, we have these 5 numbers. We look at all 5 of them. There are 3 zeros. We need to make all 5 of them zeros because the majority are zeros, so we need to range set all of these to 0. In order to do this, you need range set and range query how many 1s are in a range. So range set to 0, range set to 1, query how many 1s are in a range, or query the sum if you like that better. And yeah, that's it. So those are the operations you need. You can do those both with the segment tree very easily. Here's the code for A. I realize I forgot to show that, but it's pretty easy. You sort the array, you find the GCD of all adjacent differences, you check if there's any number or any difference between some number in the array and what your target is that's divisible by the GCD. If that's the case, yes, otherwise it's no. For B, you need a segment tree which supports sum and range set to using lazy propagation. If you're not familiar with segment trees, you can pause this and read any particular part. If you're not familiar with segment trees at all, then you can go watch my segment tree video where I explain how to do that. I think it's Algorithms Throughout episode 4 with lazy propagation. And yeah, so then we need 2 things. If you're like exactly equal to the sum, then it's impossible. So you print no, because there is no majority and you can't change half. Otherwise, you set it to 0 or to 1 respectively. You also have to make sure that at the end the segment tree matches perfectly, matches what it should have started with. So you do all of these queries in reverse order, and then yeah, at the end you want it to match. Okay, very cool. That's problem B, and then I have a few minutes left here to talk about problem C. We'll talk about C and then submit to see if we were right for D. Okay, so yeah, for this problem you have a bunch of points. You want to see if, or you want to make some permutation of the points where every adjacent pair is strictly less than 90 degrees. So honestly, I don't have a proof. But here's like the one observation that I made. If you've got a bunch of points like this, let's say your ordering looks like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we look at these first 3 points, then it turns out this is perfect, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Let's pick a worse ordering. How about that? 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe. So if we look at these first 3 points, they make an angle that's like over 90 degrees. So these are bad. But what we could do instead is we could do 1, 3, 2, like this. And this would be valid. Because if this angle here is greater than 90, that means this angle will be less than 90 because these make a triangle. That also works if this angle is 180, then this angle is 0. So yeah, that's the idea. If we ever have part of a triangle that doesn't work, we pick the other half of the triangle. So we have something like this. Now the next thing is we're considering this angle here, and if this angle doesn't work, then we'll swap these two. The problem is, if you swap these two, you may have invalidated this first triangle. So the workaround is you just keep running this algorithm, and if you do it n times, eventually it'll get better and better and better until you have a bunch of very small angles. I don't have a proof for it. I kind of just have like intuition that it works, like that it decreases some potential, but I don't have a hard proof. So yeah, so I don't know. Take that with a grain of salt, I guess. Yeah. First, I didn't see the fact that you can make an earlier triangle invalid by doing that, but it's quite easy. In order to see if If the angle will be less than 90 degrees, you can use dot products. So if the dot product is negative, that means they go closer to opposite directions than in the same direction. If the vector is going closer to opposite directions, that means the angle is going to be close to 0. Closer to 0 than 90 degrees at least. Okay, so moment of truth, system testing complete. Oh, come on. Okay, I'll briefly explain my idea for problem D. So the idea is you have basically you have a graph. You've got a bunch of edges, and you have to give each node 2 numbers, so like some number A and B for every node. I won't draw all of them. You also have a bunch of edges in this graph, so maybe you've got like some edges that are like this. And you know that any 2 nodes that have an edge between them, their relative order of their A's has to be the same as the relative order as the B's. So if the A's come first originally, the B's have to come first after. That's the idea. Yeah, so there's that. So now, how do you solve it? Well, the first thing we're gonna do is we're really gonna come up with edges where we don't have to worry about that constraint. So if you look at the dual of the graph, or not, I don't know, if you look at the inverse of the graph, like all of the edges that exist, you look at the edges that don't exist, you'll have this. Now, there's some ideas of things we can do with this, but basically let's make a minimum spanning tree of this, and we might not be able to make a minimum spanning tree, so really let's make a minimum spanning forest. So let's change the initial graph to look like this. Here's an example. So now we have this component here that's like a connected component, and this component here, which is a connected component. So we've got like a forest here. And what we can do is, in this forest, let's look at one particular tree, and then we'll handle all trees individually. Yeah, so maybe you have a tree that looks like this. What you can do is pick one node and all of its neighbors, if you'd like. And what you can do here is you can give this number, or this first node, like this root, we'll give this the number 2, or we'll give this the number 3 initially, and then 1 later. Then we'll give this the number 1 and 2, and give this the number 2 and 3. So for everything, so what happens is this permutation, let's look at it like this. The permutation, it looks like 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3 like this. So the only things that change relative order is this 3 changes positions with 1 and 2. Everything else keeps the relative order. And if we have this as a continuous block in the array, then it'll be easy to maintain like that. So here's the idea. We can pick some node and all of its neighbors, and we can swap their relative order if we split this up into groups. In this case, you can split it up into groups like this. So once we have some tree, we can do this dp and split it up like this. And in particular, any tree that's of size greater than 1, we can handle all of the nodes for. We can split it up easily. The one special case to watch out for if you're implementing this is if you have a root that has degree 1, like a root that's a leaf. It might be possible that you match these 2 nodes like this, and now your root has no one it can match with. But really, what you can do is you can include the root in one of your kids' groups. So that's the idea for that. Yeah, okay. So the runtime is order n-ish. I think it winds up being n log n for building this minimum spanning tree. But yeah, my code runs in n log n plus a DFS, which is very deep. Let me submit. Okay. And I want to see if it's right. I'll show you the code for C, because I forgot to do that. So here's the code for C. Yeah, very simple. The code for D is a mess. So I also had a slight bug with the way I was printing it. Yeah, my explanation might be a bit quick, because I gotta go actually be productive with my life. As fun as Code Forces is, I have to do other stuff. Come on. How did I get a good rating even? Did my rating increase? We'll see. I don't know. Top 100. It's not bad. Could be a lot worse, I guess. We beat Monogon. It's always good to see. Yeah. All right. So this video was probably incredibly uninteresting. Maybe the part of me not solving D was interesting. But other than that, yeah, I don't think I did a super great job explaining things either. Who won, out of curiosity? Maroon RK. It's been a while since you won. It's also kind of sad that Tourist loses rating for getting 3rd place. Anyway, I guess that's how it is when your elo gets that inflated. Okay, final standings. Good. Let me submit to D. Submit from D. This was my version, I think, is right. So if this wrong answers, then we're kind of in trouble. Or then, like, it's fair, whatever. I understand. Let's also submit the thing that I was like a minute away from with no fixes in contest to see if that would have worked. Well, I don't know. I guess it feels good anyway. This will probably TLE then, because I'm not using print writer, printing a whole bunch of things. But anyway. Okay, well, that's fine. Fun set. Can we see CF predictor, please? Come back. Okay, I don't know. It was pretty good. I think top 100 is not bad. I'm not too worried about my place, so. Okay, anyway, messy video. Hope you enjoyed. I enjoyed the contest. I thought it was fun. Hope you did as well. Have a great day. Goodbye.